Warning: his video contains details of real crime cases. Watch with caution. If you're a fan of true crime investigations and want to follow more stories like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any case. In the heart of suburban Denver, Colorado, a tale of love, faith, and tragedy unfolded between Olivia Hartley and Ethan Caldwell. Their paths first crossed in the bustling hallways of Cherry Creek Middle School, but it wasn't until years later that their story truly began to take shape. At the age of 26, Ethan reached out to Olivia through Instagram, rekindling a long-dormant connection. Intrigued by his unexpected message, Olivia accepted his friend request, unaware that this simple act would set in motion a series of events that would forever alter the course of her life. As they began to chat, Olivia and Ethan discovered a shared passion for all things geek culture. Their conversations were filled with enthusiastic debates about Harry Potter theories, heated discussions about Star Wars lore, and playful banter about their favorite superhero franchises. This mutual love for fantastical worlds served as the foundation for their blossoming relationship. But it wasn't just their nerdy interests that drew them together. Both Olivia and Ethan had been raised in devout Christian households, and their shared faith became a cornerstone of their connection. They found comfort in each other's spiritual convictions, often spending hours discussing scripture and attending church services together. To friends and family, Olivia and Ethan seemed like the perfect match, a modern-day fairy tale of two kindred spirits finding each other in the vast digital landscape. Their social media feeds were filled with smiling selfies at comic conventions, cozy pictures of Bible study sessions, and snapshots of their adventures exploring Colorado's natural beauty. Ethan's unwavering faith and strong moral compass deeply resonated with Olivia. Having grown up in a household where Christian values were paramount, she saw in Ethan a partner who could uphold and share in those beliefs. It wasn't long before their relationship progressed, and Ethan proposed in a manner that seemed plucked from a romantic comedy. Down on one knee in the middle of a Star Wars exhibition at the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. However, not everyone was as enamored with the couple's whirlwind romance. Olivia's father, Robert Hartley, a protective and cautious man, harbored reservations about Ethan. He found the speed at which their relationship had developed concerning and felt that he barely knew the man who was to become his son-in-law. Despite these concerns, the engagement moved forward, and friends and family gathered to celebrate the couple's impending nuptials. The joyous occasion, however, was marred by an incident that would foreshadow the troubles to come. Ethan's mother, Caroline Caldwell, arrived at the engagement party wearing a white dress, a faux pas that many interpreted as a slight against Olivia. This act cast a shadow over the celebration and hinted at the complex family dynamics that would play a role in the couple's future. As Olivia and Ethan began to plan their life together, they decided to make a fresh start in a new city. They set their sights on Austin, Texas, drawn by its vibrant tech scene and growing Christian community. With hearts full of hope and dreams of a bright future, they prepared to embark on the next chapter of their lives, unaware of the challenges and darkness that lay ahead. As Olivia and Ethan settled into their new life in Austin, the facade of their picture-perfect relationship began to crack. The bustling Texas capital, with its eclectic mix of tech startups and live music venues, seemed to amplify the differences in their personalities rather than bring them closer together. Initially, their life appeared ideal. Ethan quickly climbed the corporate ladder at a local software company, earning the coveted Employee of the Month title within his first quarter. Olivia, driven by an entrepreneurial spirit, juggled multiple jobs to contribute to their shared dreams. She worked tirelessly, sometimes holding down 4 positions simultaneously, from social media management for local businesses to weekend shifts at a trendy food truck. Every Tuesday evening, without fail, Olivia and Ethan would join her family for a virtual game night via video call, maintaining their connection with loved ones back in Denver. These weekly rituals painted a portrait of a young couple successfully balancing their new life with cherished traditions. However, behind closed doors, a different narrative was unfolding. Ethan's past began to cast long shadows over their marriage. He grew increasingly paranoid about Olivia's friendships, particularly her close relationship with Mason, a fellow member of their new church community. Ethan's suspicions, rooted in the betrayal he experienced in a previous marriage, began to poison their interactions. Despite Olivia's repeated assurances that her relationship with Mason was purely platonic, Ethan's jealousy intensified. He started monitoring her phone, questioning her whereabouts, and creating an atmosphere of distrust that permeated their home. The once sweet gesture of surprising Olivia at work turned into a means of checking up on her, leaving her feeling suffocated and constantly on edge. As tensions escalated, Ethan's behavior became increasingly erratic. He withdrew from their shared faith, refusing to attend church services with Olivia. This spiritual disconnection struck at the very foundation of their relationship, leaving Olivia feeling isolated in a core aspect of her life. Financially, the strain began to show as well. Ethan, once praised for his work ethic, started neglecting his job responsibilities. He immersed himself in video games, spending exorbitant amounts on in-game purchases and new gaming systems. When confronted about his spending habits, Ethan became defensive, accusing Olivia of trying to control him. The situation reached a breaking point when Ethan abruptly quit his job without consulting Olivia. This impulsive decision left her shouldering the entire financial burden of their household. Overwhelmed and exhausted, Olivia found herself working around the clock to keep them afloat, while Ethan spent his days locked away in their home office, lost in virtual worlds. In moments of clarity, Olivia confided in her family about the deteriorating state of her marriage. She shared her concerns about Ethan's declining mental health and the crushing weight of their financial struggles. Her parents, especially her father, urged her to prioritize her own well-being and consider returning to Denver. As summer turned to fall in Austin, the once bright future Olivia and Ethan had envisioned together grew increasingly dim. The city that was supposed to be the backdrop for their new beginning instead became the stage for a marriage unraveling at the seams. Little did anyone know that the worst was yet to come, as the couple's troubled relationship hurtled towards a tragic and violent conclusion. The morning of October 15, 2021, dawned like any other in Austin, Texas. But by noon, the lives of the Hartley and Caldwell families would be forever altered. At 11:47 a.m., a distressed 911 call shattered the quiet of the suburban neighborhood where Olivia and Ethan resided. "I think I killed my wife." Ethan's voice trembled over the line. "I had a dream, and when I woke up, she was dead." The 911 operator, trained to handle crisis situations, attempted to gather more information while dispatching police and emergency services to the scene. Within minutes, patrol cars and an ambulance screeched to a halt outside the couple's modest two-story home. Officers approached with caution, unsure of what they might encounter inside. As they entered, the scene that greeted them was one of horror and devastation. In the master bedroom, Olivia lay motionless on the bed, her body bearing the marks of a brutal attack. Blood stained the sheets, walls, and carpet, painting a gruesome picture of violence. Ethan, found sitting on the floor with his back against the wall, appeared to be in a state of shock. Detective Sarah Reeves, a veteran of the Austin Police Department's homicide unit, took charge of the crime scene. As she surveyed the bedroom, her trained eye picked up on details that would prove crucial to the investigation. The position of Olivia's body, the pattern of blood spatter, and the location of the murder weapon, a kitchen knife found on the nightstand, all told a story that conflicted with Ethan's initial statement. When questioned by detectives, Ethan claimed he had taken Coricidin, an over-the-counter cold medicine, to help him sleep. He insisted that he had no memory of what had transpired, maintaining that he must have committed the act while in a drug-induced stupor. His demeanor alternated between confusion and distress as he repeated, "It must have been the medicine. I would never hurt Olivia." However, as investigators delved deeper, inconsistencies in Ethan's story began to emerge. A search of the couple's shared laptop revealed a disturbing pattern of recent internet searches. In the weeks leading up to Olivia's death, Ethan had conducted extensive research on the effects of mixing cold medication with alcohol. Searches included phrases like, "Can Coricidin cause violent behavior?" and "How much DXM to hallucinate?" Further digital forensics uncovered a secret Instagram account belonging to Ethan. The content posted on this account stood in stark contrast to his public persona as a devout Christian man. The profile was filled with images and captions depicting violent imagery, death, and anti-Christian sentiments. One particularly chilling post, dated just days before the incident, read, "Sometimes the only way out is through the darkest path." As news of the tragedy spread, friends and family of the couple were left reeling. Many expressed disbelief, recounting how Ethan and Olivia had seemed like the perfect couple on social media. Olivia's co-workers at the food truck described her as hardworking and always smiling, never hinting at any troubles at home. Ethan's colleagues, however, painted a different picture. In confidential interviews, they spoke of his increasing paranoia and erratic behavior in the weeks leading up to the incident. One co-worker recalled an unsettling conversation where Ethan had rambled about feeling trapped and needing to break free. As Detective Reeves pieced together the evidence, a clearer picture began to emerge, one that suggested premeditation rather than a tragic accident. The investigation was far from over, but the initial findings pointed to a deeply troubled individual who had carefully orchestrated a violent act while attempting to create an alibi. The question that now loomed large was, would the truth about what really happened that fateful night ever come to light? As the investigation into Olivia's death progressed, a crucial turning point emerged that would shatter Ethan's defense and reveal the true horror of the crime. This pivotal moment came with the release of the autopsy report, conducted by Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a renowned forensic pathologist with the Travis County Medical Examiner's Office. The autopsy findings sent shockwaves through the investigative team and the community at large. Dr. Rodriguez's report revealed that Olivia had been stabbed not once or twice, but an astonishing 137 times. The sheer number of wounds spoke to a level of violence that went far beyond any notion of an accidental or drug-induced act. Even more telling was the pattern of the injuries. Dr. Rodriguez noted that the initial wounds appeared to have been inflicted while Olivia was asleep or in a state of repose. This detail contradicted Ethan's claim of a sudden, hallucinatory outburst. Instead, it painted a picture of a premeditated attack on an unsuspecting victim. The depth and angle of the wounds provided further insight into the attacker's state of mind. Many of the stab wounds were deep and angled, indicating a significant amount of force behind each thrust. This level of brutality suggested a perpetrator acting with intent and sustained rage, rather than someone in a confused, drug-induced state. Toxicology results delivered another blow to Ethan's defense. While traces of the cold medicine were indeed found in his system, the levels were far below what would be required to induce hallucinations or significant behavioral changes. This scientific evidence effectively dismantled Ethan's claim that the medication was responsible for his actions. Detective Reeves, armed with this new information, called for a follow-up interview with Ethan. Faced with the overwhelming forensic evidence, Ethan's carefully constructed narrative began to crumble. His demeanor shifted from confused and distraught to defensive and evasive. When presented with the autopsy findings, Ethan's reaction was telling. He visibly paled and struggled to maintain his composure. "That can't be right," he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't remember. I couldn't have." But the evidence was irrefutable. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Marco Sanchez, now had a solid foundation to build their case. They argued that the crime scene had been staged to support Ethan's story of a drug-induced episode. The positioning of the body, the placement of the murder weapon, and even Ethan's own state when police arrived, all appeared to have been carefully orchestrated. This turning point in the investigation also shed new light on the couple's troubled history. Friends and family, who had initially been reluctant to speak ill of Ethan, now came forward with accounts of his controlling behavior and Olivia's growing fear in the weeks leading up to her death. Olivia's sister, Rachel, revealed a chilling detail she had previously withheld. Just days before the murder, Olivia had confided in her about a life insurance policy Ethan had insisted they take out. At the time, Olivia had brushed it off as responsible financial planning. In hindsight, it appeared to be yet another piece of a sinister puzzle. As the true nature of the crime came into focus, the community of Austin grappled with the reality that a calculated act of extreme violence had occurred in their midst. The image of the perfect Christian couple was shattered, replaced by a stark reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that darkness can lurk behind even the most pious facades. The stage was now set for a trial that would captivate the nation and force a reckoning with the complex issues of domestic violence, mental health, and the masks people wear in the age of social media. The trial of Ethan Caldwell began on a crisp autumn morning in Austin, drawing national attention and packing the Travis County Courthouse with spectators, journalists, and family members from both sides. The case had captured the public imagination, not only for its brutality, but for the questions it raised about the nature of evil lurking beneath seemingly perfect exteriors. District Attorney Marco Sanchez opened the proceedings with a powerful statement, painting a vivid picture of Olivia's final moments and the calculated nature of Ethan's actions. "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury," he began, his voice resonating through the hushed courtroom, "what you will hear over the coming days is not a story of a drug-induced tragedy, but one of premeditated murder, a brutal act committed by a man who carefully crafted his own alibi." The prosecution's case was methodical and damning. They presented a timeline of events leading up to the murder, including Ethan's suspicious internet searches and his secret social media activity. Forensic experts testified about the nature of Olivia's wounds, emphasizing the sustained and deliberate nature of the attack. Perhaps the most powerful testimony came from Olivia's sister, Rachel. Her voice quavering with emotion, she recounted conversations with Olivia in the weeks before her death. She was afraid, Rachel testified, but she didn't want to believe that Ethan could hurt her. She kept saying she could fix things, that she just needed to try harder. The defense, led by renowned attorney Jackson Tate, attempted to paint Ethan as a troubled man grappling with mental health issues and the lingering trauma of past betrayals. They brought in expert witnesses who spoke about the potential for certain medications to cause extreme behavioral changes, though their arguments seemed to falter in the face of the toxicology reports. As the trial progressed, Ethan's demeanor in the courtroom became a subject of scrutiny. He sat impassively, showing little emotion even as gruesome crime scene photos were displayed. This coldness did not go unnoticed by the jury, whose expressions ranged from disgust to disbelief as the evidence mounted. In a surprising turn of events, midway through the trial, Ethan's defense team approached the prosecution with a plea deal. After hours of negotiation and consultation with Olivia's family, an agreement was reached. Ethan Caldwell would plead guilty to first-degree murder in exchange for life in prison without the possibility of parole, avoiding the death penalty. The courtroom was thick with tension as Ethan stood to enter his plea. "Guilty," he said, his voice barely audible. Judge Mariana Lopez asked him if he wished to make a statement. Ethan turned to face Olivia's family, his eyes meeting theirs for the first time since the trial began. "I am a monster," he said, his voice cracking. "What I did to Olivia is unforgivable. I don't expect your forgiveness, and I don't deserve it. I can only hope that my plea brings you some small measure of peace." His words were met with a stony silence from Olivia's family. Robert Hartley, Olivia's father, stared straight ahead, his jaw clenched, while Rachel wept silently, her hand clasped tightly in her mother's. As Judge Lopez delivered the sentence, life in prison without the possibility of parole, a collective exhale seemed to pass through the courtroom. For Olivia's family and friends, it marked the end of a harrowing journey through the justice system, though the pain of their loss would undoubtedly linger. Outside the courthouse, as reporters clamored for statements, District Attorney Sanchez addressed the media. "Today, justice was served for Olivia Hartley," he declared. "While nothing can bring her back or heal the wounds inflicted on her loved ones, we hope this verdict brings a measure of closure and allows the healing process to begin." In the aftermath of Ethan Caldwell's sentencing, the city of Austin and indeed the nation were left to grapple with the broader implications of this tragic case. The story of Olivia and Ethan, once seen as a modern fairy tale, had transformed into a cautionary tale about the dangers that can lurk beneath seemingly perfect surfaces. In the months following the trial, several initiatives emerged in Olivia's memory. The Olivia Hartley Foundation, established by her family, began working to raise awareness about domestic violence and the importance of recognizing early warning signs in relationships. The foundation partnered with local churches and community organizations to provide resources and support for individuals in potentially abusive situations. Rachel Hartley, Olivia's sister, became a vocal advocate for domestic violence survivors. She traveled across Texas, sharing Olivia's story and urging people to look beyond social media facades. "We can't judge the health of a relationship by Instagram posts," she would often say in her speeches. "We need to foster genuine connections and create safe spaces for people to share their struggles." The case also sparked a broader conversation about mental health and the justice system. Legal experts and mental health professionals debated the adequacy of current laws in addressing crimes committed by individuals with mental health issues. While Ethan's actions were ultimately deemed premeditated, the case highlighted the complex interplay between mental health, personal responsibility, and criminal justice. In the tech community of Austin, where Ethan had once been a rising star, companies began implementing more robust employee assistance programs. Many cited the case as a wake-up call about the importance of mental health support in high-pressure work environments. The impact of the case extended to the realm of social media as well. Researchers at the University of Texas at Austin conducted a study examining the disparity between online personas and real-life relationships. Their findings, published in a leading psychology journal, highlighted the potential dangers of curated online identities and the importance of authentic connections. For the Hartley family, the journey of healing was long and arduous. Robert Hartley, Olivia's father, struggled with guilt over his initial misgivings about Ethan. "I saw something was off, but I didn't push hard enough," he confessed in a rare interview. "I'll carry that regret with me always." Olivia's mother, Sarah, found solace in volunteering at a local women's shelter. "Helping others," she said, "is the best way I know to honor Olivia's memory. She always wanted to make a difference in people's lives." As for Ethan Caldwell, he began serving his life sentence at the All Red Unit, a maximum security prison in Wichita Falls, Texas. Reports from prison officials described him as a model inmate, though he refused all interview requests and maintained minimal contact with the outside world. 5 years after Olivia's death, on what would have been her 35th birthday, the city of Austin unveiled a memorial garden in her honor. Located in a quiet corner of Zilker Park, the garden featured a bronze statue of Olivia, depicted as she was often remembered, with a warm smile and open arms. At the dedication ceremony, Rachel Hartley delivered a poignant speech. "This garden," she said, her voice strong despite the tears in her eyes, "is not just a memorial to Olivia. It's a reminder to all of us to look deeper, to reach out, to be there for one another. In doing so, we can hope to prevent other families from experiencing the pain we've endured." As the sun set on the garden that evening, casting long shadows across the newly planted flowers, visitors could be seen sitting on benches, lost in thought. The tragic story of Olivia and Ethan had come to an end, but its impact on laws, on communities, on how we view relationships and mental health would continue to resonate for years to come.